Distinguished guests, please stand if you are able. Her Excellency, the Right Honourable Dame Sendikero, Governor-General of New Zealand.
Ko te amorangi ki mua, ko te hāpai o ki muri. Kia tau I hōna mana ki tanga kinunga ki tēnā o tātā. E hōnore he kororia he mau ngārongo kinunga ki te mata o te whenua, e whakaro pai ki ngā tangata katoa. Arohai na ngā taina, me ngā tuakana. E noho nei rungi te whakaro ko tahi, hai mai te.
Please be seated. Tēnei whetū ki te rangi, ka mau tonu, ka mau tonu. Tēnei tāngata ki te whenua, ngaru noa, haere atu rā. Nau mai, piki mai, tauti mai, ki te whare o te kāwana tianara. Ko ngā tāwhirotanga o te wā ki a tātou I tēnei rangi, tēnā tātou katoa. Distinguished guests, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to Government House Auckland for today's investiture ceremony. I'd like to specifically acknowledge Ashley Bishop Kito. What a pleasure to see you. Tēnā koe te rangatira o te nota. Kia koe hoki te kaumātua Mr. Joe Harawira, Mrs. Pauline Hopa Akuia. Hosting investiture ceremonies is one of the most important duties I perform on behalf of His Majesty the King of New Zealand. I'm delighted to bring together such an extraordinary group of New Zealanders. You have each brought pride and a greater sense of well-being to Aotearoa New Zealand through your outstanding achievements and your service to our communities. On behalf of all New Zealanders, I extend my sincerest thanks to you for your contributions. After each recipient is honoured, I invite you to join with me in congratulating them. Mr. Ward Carmel will now summon the recipients and read their citations.
Your Excellency, to receive the insignia of an Officer of the New Zealand Order of Merit, Professor Ian Bissett of Auckland, for services to colorectal surgery and education. Professor Ian Bissett began his career as a doctor at Taranaki Base Hospital. He trained further in surgery before locating to Nepal to serve as the Consultant General Surgeon for a government-run hospital in a voluntary capacity. He returned to New Zealand, where he became a senior lecturer in surgery at the University of Auckland. He is now a professor at the university and a colorectal surgeon at Auckland Hospital. He has pioneered new surgical methods that have led to reduced cancer recurrence rates and hundreds of life-changing surgeries. He pioneered the first colorectal clinic assessing pelvic floor disorders and initiated a national pelvic floor workshop. Professor Bissett was president of the Colorectal Surgical Society of Australia and New Zealand and chair of the National Bowel Cancer Working Group. Professor Ian Bissett, please come forward. Ms. Anapela Politaivao of Auckland for services to Pacific Performing Arts. Anapela Politaivao is an actor, director, writer and dramaturge whose work has brought the voice of South Auckland women to stages and screens around the world. She won several awards and international acclaim for her performance in the short film Night Shift. For her work as co-founder of the Killer Coconut Crew Theatre Collective, which serves to give South Auckland performers a platform, she was named a New Generation Arts Laureate. She has directed multiple works, including Solimio's original opera Alofangia Le Opera and Tusiata Avir's Wild Dogs Under My Skirt, some of which have toured in New Zealand and internationally. Ms. Politaivao was a tutor at the Pacific Institute of Pacific Arts, inspiring a new generation of Pacific performers. Ms. Anapela Politaivao, please come forward. Your Excellency, to receive the insignia of a member of the New Zealand Order of Merit, Mrs. Linda Nelson of Auckland for services to people with intellectual disabilities. Linda Nelson led the establishment of the Ranfurly Care Society, which provides a caring and supportive environment for 41 residents with profound intellectual and physical disabilities. She has been the manager of the Society and a fundraiser, a volunteer, family advocate and advisor on the activities of the Society and disabled community since her daughter was born with cerebral palsy 50 years ago. She has overseen the growth of the Society, which now has 3 homes. Mrs. Nelson has also been involved with the New Zealand Disability Support Network, providing advice and guidance to other providers of disability services throughout New Zealand. Mrs. Linda Nelson, please come forward. Dr. Emma Scota of Auckland for services to motor neuron disease research. Well, Dr. Emma is a senior lecturer in biological sciences at the University of Auckland and head of the Motor Neuron Disease Research Lab at the Centre for Brain Research. She helped establish the New Zealand Motor Neuron Disease Research Network and is a director/primary investigator. She's an advisor to New Zealand's first MND register that enables people living with MND to participate in research and global clinical trials. She initiated and co-leads the New Zealand MND genetic study, investigating the genetic causes of MND, whilst also providing access to genetic testing for those not eligible through the Public Health Service. Dr. Emma has contributed to several international research projects. Dr. Emma Scota, please come forward. Mrs. Akanihi Smith of Kaitaia for services to Māori and the Anglican Church. Akanihi Smith, Ngāti Kuri, Te Aupauri, Ngai Takoto, Ngāti Kahu, Te Pātū, Te Rarawa, Ngāpuhi, Ngāti Kahungunu, is a revered queer of Ngai Takoto, Ngāti Kura and Te Pātū, and a senior elder of several far north marae. She has served the community of St. Joseph's Māori Anglican Church in Awanui. She has been involved with Koanga Reo and Kura Kaupapa youth and sports groups. She was a senior member of the Auckland Anglican Māori Mission. She has represented her pastorate at every gathering of the Hui Amorangi, the Māori Anglican Diocesan Synod, since 1963. Mrs. Smith is an active member of the Mothers' Union. Mrs. Akanihi Smith, please come forward.
Aue te aro
Mrs. Sally Walker of Whangaparaoa for services to health advocacy. Well, Sally Walker has raised awareness around the use of surgical mesh to treat urinary incontinence in women and the impact of severe surgical mesh injuries. With more than 64 complaints of injuries over the past decade and having faced significant complications from her own surgical mesh implants, Mrs. Walker initiated a petition calling for the suspension of this procedure. Her advocacy helped lead to the 2023 announcement that mesh surgeries in New Zealand would be paused. Mrs. Walker voluntarily manages a health and disability support network, as well as managing ACC support, and is a consumer advisor to the New Zealand Female Pelvic Mesh Service. Mrs. Sally Walker, please come forward. Your Excellency, to receive the King's Service Medal, Mr. John Bray of Auckland for services to rugby league. John Bray has been involved with rugby league for more than 40 years. As a player, he represented Canterbury at all levels. He was secretary and treasurer of the Hornby Club. He represented New Zealand and served on the Wellington Rugby League board. He was an independent director and vice chair of the New Zealand Rugby League board, navigating the board through enormous growth of the sport. He used his accountancy skills to help the board with audits and budgeting. Mr. Bray is a member and former chair of the New Zealand Rugby League Museum Trust. Mr. John Bray, please come forward. Mrs. Pat George of Matakohe for services to mosaic art and the community. Pat George, Ngā Pui, Ngāti Manu, created mosaic artwork for the Ononga Community Centre at Kawakawa and was a member of the project team. She created artwork for the entrance of the Northland Maternity building at Whangarei Hospital. She presented to the Mosaic Association of Australia, New Zealand's International Symposium in Canberra. She taught mosaic at the National Exhibition in Orewa. She helped establish and chairs the National Mosaic Committee for New Zealand Mosaic Art. She helped organise the Paparoa Wearable Arts event. Mrs. George helped organise a fundraiser following Cyclone Gabriel, raising $10,000 for the recovery. Mrs. Pat George, please come forward. Your Excellency, the investiture has concluded.
New Zealand's honours system is our highest public affirmation of outstanding individual achievement. It reinforces those things that make our society better: service, manaakitanga, and the pursuit of excellence. To our recipients, it has been a privilege to hear your stories. You have each used your talents and abilities to improve the lives of fellow New Zealanders. In doing so, you embody the sentiment expressed by Desmond Tutu when he said, "Do your little bit of good where you are. It's those little bits of good put together that overwhelm the world." I urge recipients to wear your insignia with pride at every opportunity, knowing that you inspire others by your example. On behalf of the King of New Zealand and all New Zealanders, I congratulate you on your achievements, and I thank you once again for your service to our country. Kia ora, hui hui mai I tēnei rā. Now you will see on the back of your program the words to the national anthem in te reo and in English. I now invite you to stand with me and join in singing this.
Yeah.